AJPW save from then to now, we take the World Wrestling Federation from 1992 all the way to modern day WWE. We're currently in week 4 of June 1992, which is the go home show for King of the Ring, but also an important show in its own regards, because as we announced a few weeks ago, this show will be taking place in the legendary Korakuen Hall in Tokyo, Japan. I'm excited to see this, but this also will be a very different structured show to most of the shows which I've done, because, well, if we go back, say, to this episode of Superstars, the first one after Saturday night's main event, which was in Puerto Rico, look how much that is angle orientated compared to matches. Like, there's a massive chunk here which is just solid angles. Now, that causes a little bit of a problem when we're in Japan, because I did a search on my roster of who can speak Japanese. I think there was about 8 people, some of which haven't debuted yet. But yes, so other things we've announced for this week. Well, the only real thing we've announced is that Jack Tunney has invited whoever attacked High Voltage to Superstars this week. I'm going to announce right now we're going to get High Voltage versus Fujigun tonight as our main event, because Yokozuna is going to be in the main event with Mr. Fuji. That makes sense. Actually, no, I think it's our semi-main event. I think we've actually got a massive match between the Road Warriors, Hulk Hogan and the Ultimate Warrior in the main event, just because I wanted to throw a bit of star power on this show. This is Japanese fans who don't get to see us very often. But let's get away from this waffle. We know where we're going to be, so we don't need to go to the venue page. So let's get right into Superstars on the Go Home show to King of the Ring. No ladies and gentlemen tonight because, well, Vince McMahon doesn't speak Japanese, but Crush does for some reason. I don't know why Brian Adams speaks Japanese, but he does, so basically we're letting him cut a little bit of a promo. It's a terrible promo. Great. And he's going to have a match to open us up here tonight. This episode's probably going to be quite short, because as you know, it's the promos which normally get me talking more. And he wrestles Shawn Michaels. And it's Shawn Michaels who picks up the win with the elbow drop. It's a short match. He's now wrestled all 3 members of the Horsemen that are active. There is a 4th one coming, but not yet. Got 1,200 people here in Korakuen Hall. Oh, not quite a full sellout. About 2/3, well, 3/4 of a sellout. But Michaels gets to 67, Crush gets to 37. Of course, I've had to be very careful about who I put on this show, because if they're not got any pop in Japan, their ratings are going to plummet, because we are a pop over in-ring company. Great. Next up, 2 people who can't, well, one person at least who's Britanners can speak Japanese, the other one weirdly isn't. Terry Gordy supposedly can't speak Japanese in this save. Williams can though. So Dr. FC Williams comes out for his King of the Ring semi-final match against Kama Mustafa, and he riles up the crowd. He's talking about how happy he was to escape Japan earlier this year, and he hates the fact that he has been dragged back here. You know, if he'd realised his semi-final would have been in Japan, he would have thrown that match against John, because he doesn't want to be here. But now he is here. He is going to beat Kama Mufasa and show this Japanese crowd what he lost out on, because he is so much happier being in America right now. It's an 82. As I said, it's someone who speaks Japanese. They're already advertised for the show, because I knew this semi-final was going to be in the Japan show, but we signed Dr. Death and Terry Gordy from All Japan. They were pretty big in All Japan. Terry Gordy's the former Triple Crown Heavyweight Championship, so, you know, it's not like these are small mid-carders in Japan. This was top teams. And the match gets a 76. And it is Kama who picks up the win when he beats Steve Williams with a Death Valley driver. Steve Williams basically distracts himself with the crowd. The crowd are really on his tail. He keeps taunting them, he keeps shouting at them, and again he gets caught up in the Death Valley driver. 1, 2, 3, Kama picks up the victory. I mean, Williams gets an 86. That's brilliant performance. But I just don't want him doing double duty at King of the Ring. You know, he's already got his tag title match, so that does mean the final, which I believe is the next page, is Kama versus the British Bulldog. And it is, so Bulldog comes out, Kama Mufasa, well not Mufasa yet, but versus the British Bulldog. The winner will be the King of the Ring 1992 and get either an Intercontinental or a World title shot at SummerSlam. Gets a 59 rating. Tag team match as the Nasty Boys lose to the Horsemen of Ric Flair and Lex Luger. Ric Flair had really good pop in Kanto, specifically. I think he was on 89 in Kanto, whereas like 67 across the rest of Japan, which makes sense. He's done I think All Japan and New Japan by this point. And I think Super World of Sports by this point as well. Has Super World of Sports done their crossover in the Tokyo Dome, which I think Ric Flair was on? I'm not sure, but yeah, Ric Flair taps out Jerry Saggs with the figure 4 leg lock. Not going to cut a promo on this show due to the sheer fact that, well, he doesn't speak Japanese. Somebody else who's really popular in Japan is Earthquake, who trained at the All Japan Dojo when he was after being a sumo wrestler. And was actually one of the trainees of Bubba. So he gets a match here. He beats up Bart Gunn after his tag team partner Typhoon lost to Billy last week. Earthquake picks up the win. Hits the Earthquake splash on Bart. 49 rating, 57 for Earthquake, 35 for Bart. Bob Backlund was put on acting because, yeah, I didn't really want to put him on entertainment, but acting also does words, of course. And he does a promo on Sheik. Sheik, you've taken so much from me. You took my WWF World Heavyweight Championship almost 10 years ago. You took my shot at redemption in the King of the Ring tournament. So you know what? I am done. Sheik, if you want to keep take it from me, you can. But you said something last week which is spot on. I'm never going to be able to succeed with you still around. So if you want to take, I'm going to take from you. This Sunday, at King of the Ring, I challenge you to a match. But I'm going to put my career on the line. I've only just come back, but I will piss off again. Or I'll work backstage. I will never step foot in the ring again if I lose. But if you lose, the same rules apply to you. You will never be allowed to step foot in the ring again. Career versus career. And that is the Backlund promo, and that is the match set for King of the Ring. Gets a 41 rating. And here it is, the segment I have been waiting for since WrestleMania. Yokozuna and John Nord versus High Voltage. And it ends in a no contest because of two people who run in to attack High Voltage, Satoshi Kojima and Yoshinari Agawa. Or as you might remember them, the two Japanese fans in the audience at WrestleMania. Now let me run you through all of the clues I have laid out for you. From WrestleMania to right now. On the WrestleMania card, I mentioned that Agawa and Sid Kojima had been released, had their contracts expire from the two Japanese companies, and that we had brought them in, and that Meltzer had revealed that they're not actually just fans. In the upcoming promos afterwards, I had Owen Hart and Koko Beware both mentioned that they couldn't make out what the attackers were saying. That was because they were speaking a different language. Recently, I've had Yokozuna deliberately interfering against High Voltage, something like... I know the big clues were more recently, which was a little tiny segment where Jack Tunney mentioned that WrestleMania replay was going to be shown on ESPN. And it's the next week where High Voltage spend the entire time in his locker room. The suggestion which I was going to make there is they watched that WrestleMania broadcast. And they saw the fans in the crowd and they recognised those voices. Then last week, they started attacking Fujigun, shouting, "Where are they?" Because yes, Kojima and Agawa are part of Fujigun. And they are here, and they were the two who attacked High Voltage. Let me know if you got this right. I know one person did. I've definitely seen a comment where someone has actually said, is it the two Japanese kids from the crowd at WrestleMania? So congratulations to that person. You are spot on. Which also reassured me because, you know, I've actually made this comment in the TEW hub a week back. Where I was saying, before I saw that comment, I was nervous that I'd been too subtle with my clues. But seeing that somebody had actually got it reassured me. I have had so much fun with this mystery story. Because I've made it very subtle throughout. I will admit I've made it subtle, maybe too subtle. But I've enjoyed this. And I hope you guys have too. And now, we get to go into the actual beef of this story. Fujigun versus High Voltage. And the main event does see the Legion of Doom versus Warrior and Hogan. Warrior and Hogan both get attacked by their respective feuding partners, which is Undertaker and Flair. They're of course having those matches on Sunday, which gives us tomorrow to travel and hopefully not be too jet lagged by the time we get back to America. We'll probably be on the West Coast. I'm looking at a Southwest, a California pay-per-view probably. Or a Vegas pay-per-view. Or the Tacoma Dome in Washington. One of those sort of places. But a 75 rating for the main event. We do get a little more segment, which is Jack Tunney coming out with a translator, Sonny Uno, who I've just brought in on a one-night deal, just to translate for Jack Tunney, saying thank you to the fans for coming. We're glad we're able to have a show in this legendary building, and we look forward to seeing you again soon. And a dark match sees Bret Hart beat Terry Gordy with a sharpshooter. Two people who were massively over in Japan who weren't on this show. So I decided to put them in a dark match. I don't care about the rating for this show. 74. Yeah, I don't care. What I care about is what you guys think. Because technically this was a big narrative episode. A storyline I've been building for months has reached its next chapter. We've got a confirmation of our King of the Ring finals. We've got Backlund versus Sheik, Korea versus Korea. The entire Horsemen won. We've got Hogan and Warrior losing to the Legion of Doom, the number one contenders for the tag titles. Who, ironically, the tag champions both lost in singles matches on this card. One of them was a dark match, though. So let me know what you thought of this card and what you thought of the reveal. Is it an anticlimax? Well, I'd hope with the subtle... That's why I've been so subtle, because I'm fully aware it's a bit of an anticlimax. That's why I've not been driving this so hard, like, oh, who could it be? Who could it be? In kayfabe, well, for you guys, I have been, but in kayfabe, it's never been a... Like, in kayfabe, High Voltage believed they'd solved it. That's the closest I've ever got to saying it's a mystery. High Voltage believed they'd solved it. But what did you guys think? Let me know in the comments down below. Give me a rating. And I'll see you guys for King of the Ring next. Goodbye.